Hey everybody, my name is Deja and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing the mid-year book freakout tag. I did this tag last year and this is one of my favorite tags to see going around, especially because I feel like it kind of reunites the community again midway through the year because everybody's doing the same tag. So I also wanted to do it again this year, and I actually filmed this already, but my answers already changed.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
And I was gonna go edit it today, but I was like, my answers changed so much, let me just refilm it. So I'm refilming it again today, and I have different answers now, even though it's like literally less than a week later, but I do have some different answers, and I'm super excited to just talk about them with you guys. Before I get into that, I actually have two things I want to talk about, and the first one is super exciting. I'm partnering with a company, and they just sent me their product, and they were like, can you talk about it? This is not sponsored at all. They're not giving me money, but I think that their company is amazing, and I tried their product and I really liked it. The company's called Plum Deluxe Tea, and obviously they make tea, and I actually just brewed my first cup right before this because I just received the box today and I was just so excited about it because I've never worked with the company before, and so I have some footage of me making the tea. While I'm doing that, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the company. The creator, he went to Europe, he went to the Netherlands and Scotland, and he really enjoyed the tea that he saw there, and then he started writing about his travels in different blogs and magazines, but then his mom passed away. He really was inspired by him remembering her thirst for life, and so he decided to take that, his love for tea that he discovered on this European journey, and combine that into a new business. So originally it actually came from a blog that he had called Plum Deluxe Blog, but then it eventually went into Plum Deluxe Tea, which is where they make tea now. And they have over 100 different flavors. They have obviously black teas, herbal teas, green teas, white teas, oolong, whatever you like, they probably have a flavor for you. And they had so many interesting flavors that I was like, here's a whole bunch of flavors that I like, just send me how many ever you want to. And they ended up sending me 5. And the tea that I made today in my little Hello Lovely mug is their snickerdoodle tea, and I only took a little sip, and then my mom tried it, and she's in the shower right now, so she tried it while in the shower, so I can't really give you her live reaction, but she was like, oh my god, it tastes exactly like cookies, and it literally does. The flavor is so strong, and that's something that I noticed a lot with teas. I don't really like it because the flavor is so mild. They said to do a teaspoon. I put a teaspoon and a half, but this one's more like a fall flavor. I got a couple fall, and then the mango and the pineapple are more summer flavors, but I'm going to include it in my Strange-a-thon vlog where I'm going to make the tea, but I'm going to do it iced because I feel like those flavors would just be better iced. So yeah, but this tastes so good. It literally tastes exactly like snickerdoodles. Like if snickerdoodles were a drink, it would be this. It tastes phenomenal, and I'm not just saying that because they sent it to me. It literally tastes so good, and I wouldn't lie to you guys, obviously. And again, this isn't sponsored. They didn't even say that I had to talk about it in a video. I just really liked the tea when I tried it, so I wanted to share it with you guys because I think they have really good prices. They have a really good story. They're a small business, and I think their tea tastes fantastic. So now that we went on a rant about that, I know you guys are here for the mid-year book freakout tag. I'm just going to go into a couple statistics I have for the year so far, and then I'm going to go into the questions. So if I'm looking down on my computer, it's because I have everything on here. So this year I read 49 books as of the 24th. I might finish another book today, honestly, and get to that 50. I wanted to get to 50 before this video, but I was like, I can't wait any longer. And of those, 42 of them were novels, 6 were novellas, and 1 was a graphic novel / manga. It was actually a picture book. I just put it in that category. In January, I read 9 books. In February, I only read 3. March 17, April 4, May 6, and so far in June 10, but I'm planning on finishing a couple more books. So I have reread 3 books, and I have read a total of 17,005 pages. For representation, 36.7% of my books have multiple things represented, and only 14.3% have none, which I'm really proud of. Most books that I read have something in it, so my largest category is that they have multiple things represented. None is pretty small. That means 7 of the 49 books that I read had no representation whatsoever, so I'm really happy that I've had books with some sort of representation. I've only read 18 POC authors, but that does include repeat authors this year, so I wish I was doing better, but some months I did do really, really good, and other months I just didn't read any POC, but honestly, it's just how the cards fall. I think a lot of the months where I don't read POC authors, it's because I'm just reading books for book clubs and other things like that, but I'm trying my best, and I think I'm still doing better than last year. It's just some of the genres that I'm interested in don't have a plethora of POC authors because the publishing industry doesn't really prioritize them, and I definitely need to be reading them. So the publishing industry knows that we want POC authors in those genres, and I'm doing my best, as I said, and so I'm being very kind with myself this year. 15 of the books that I read have been indie published, so about 31%, and then the other like 69% has been traditionally published. So for genres, my biggest genre has definitely been romance. I actually divide my romance into 4 different categories on my spreadsheet, but I have had a total of 24 books fall into some sort of romance genre. Then it's mystery thrillers, that's the second biggest. I've read 6 thrillers, 5 mysteries for 11 books, and then it's been horror, which I've read 5 of. So yeah, it's definitely different from last year. I've only read like 1 plain fantasy with no romance in it. I've read 5 fantasy romances as well, but I've only read 1 like just fantasy, so that's a bit different for me. And then my average rating so far this year has been 3.87. I'm not going to go into like all my ratings. You guys can check out my Goodreads or my story graph. Then for format, I've read 34.7% physical, 38.8% audio, and 26.5% ebook. And ebook has gone up so much compared to last year, but I've actually really been enjoying reading ebooks now that I have an actual e-reader. I got one for Christmas. I have a Kindle now, so I've been really enjoying it a lot more. And then for audience, I read 67.3% adult, 18.4% new adult, 12.2% YA, and 2% middle grade. So you can see last year I think my adult was a little bit bigger than YA, but I barely read any new adult or any middle grade. Young adult's only 12.2% of my reading so far this year because new adult has also grown. Even though adult kind of stayed the same, new adult grew. So my YA has gone down so much compared to last year, which is crazy. So that's all for my statistics. I'm going to go into the actual questions now. So the first question is the best book that you've read so far this year, and I actually have 2. This is one of the reasons why I needed to refilm this, but the first one was my original answer, and that is Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. This was one of the first books I read at the beginning of the year. I read it back in January, and I absolutely loved this book. I didn't know anything going in. I didn't know what it was about. I just knew it was like a thriller with a ton of triggers, and everybody really likes her. I actually didn't own this till after I read it. I only owned The Good Daughter, and I was going to read that one first because I heard about Karen Slaughter a lot, and people said to start with this one. I'm so happy I did. I haven't read another Karen Slaughter yet, but I plan to for sure. But this one was amazing. I absolutely adored it. This book does have a ton of triggers in it. Like every trigger warning that you could think of is in here. So please be cautious, be careful. I like to say that I like to be triggered by my thrillers and horror. I like to feel sick to my stomach, like disgusted, grossed out. Like I don't want to go too far because sometimes I think, not in horror books, but in horror movies, sometimes it's too much for me. But like in thriller books and horror, I really, really like that feeling of like my heart pumping or feeling sick to my stomach, and this one definitely gave me both. I don't want to tell you what this is about too much because I went in knowing nothing, so just know it's a thriller with a lot of triggers, and it's about 2 sisters who are reconnecting after one of them loses their husband, and their husband was actually murdered right in front of them, and they actually had their oldest sister disappear when they were children years ago, and that mystery is also kind of explored in this. So it has a lot of family dynamics, which apparently Karen Slaughter is super known for. She deals a lot with sisters specifically, but this book just was on a roller coaster, and I never read a book this dark before. It just blew my mind. I did not see any of the twists coming, and I just it was so freaking good. Please, if you like thrillers and you think you can handle the triggers, please pick this up. And the second book that I have to go with is Wolf Song by TJ Klune. TJ Klune is gonna be on my favorites list for a second year in a row. I just finished Wolf Song. I just finished Wolf Song yesterday, and I loved it so much. I don't know how TJ Klune manages to write books that are so heartbreaking but also so hopeful at the same time. My heart after finishing this felt empty and full at the same time, and it hit me in a way I didn't think. I know everybody loves this book, and I didn't think that I was ready because I knew it was going to be emotional, and it definitely is a bit darker, a bit more emotional than The House in the Cerulean Sea. I think The House in the Cerulean Sea does deal with darker topics, but overall it's just like a feel-good book. This one is not like that. It deals with a lot of grief, and it has to deal with a lot of grief. It has some child abuse in it. It definitely deals with darker topics, but I think it was handled so well. And the two characters, normally characters that I love them because I relate to them, and these characters I didn't necessarily relate to a ton, but I love them so much. Ox and Joe are so precious, and I love their relationship and how their relationship fits into the dynamics of their family or pack, because this book is a paranormal werewolf shifter romance that also is queer. It's gay. One of them is bisexual, and I believe the other one's fluid, because somebody in the book said I don't think werewolves identify as anything other than fluid, so I'm assuming that all of the werewolves are fluid. So one of them is a werewolf, one of them is a human, and they meet actually when one of them's 10 and the other one's 16. They kind of start developing a little bit of a relationship when the youngest one is 17, but then stuff happens and they don't actually fully have a romantic relationship until the youngest one's about 20. So I know that kind of bothers people a little bit, but like up until 17, they're strictly friends, and I loved seeing their relationship. Then even I loved seeing them as friends and how much they cared about each other, and it was just so sweet, and I loved the family in this so much. It was just amazing. It's gonna make me emotional because I think that this had so many great topics, and I just loved the whole like pack aspect, and I think that TJ Klune knew perfectly how to put in a pack and a werewolf to emphasize the familial themes in here without it seeming like too much. It also just made it super cohesive, and I think that Chandler from Chandler Ansley kind of described this book perfectly. It's like, imagine if Bella from Twilight chose the werewolves and it was gay and just a lot more emotional. That's definitely this book, and it's just amazing. Please go pick it up. The second question is the best sequel that you've read so far this year, and I haven't read too many sequels. I have read, I think, 2 for sure, but this one was my favorite of the 2, which is probably going to surprise people because the other one that I read was The Crown of Gilded Bones, which everybody knows I love that series, but the second book in that series is my favorite, so I feel like I enjoyed this sequel a little bit more than The Crown of Gilded Bones, but that is Good Girl Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. This is a sequel to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which I raved about in my mid-year book freakout tag last year, and I love this book. I love Pip so much. Pip is the main character in both the books, and I just resonate with her, and I feel like we're like the same person. I love how Holly Jackson combines mixed media into these stories. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder I feel like is YA, while this one's more new adult, as I said, and I just think that this one went deeper and went darker, and I really enjoyed it. I actually feel like I need to reread this because I read this during Becca's Bookopoly-thon, which I was doing live sprints for, and so many people were subscribing to all my friends, and it was just really emotional that day. So I feel like I kind of forgot a lot of stuff that happened in this, but I did really enjoy it, and I know I loved it so much, but I definitely want to give this a reread sometime soon. So the third question is some new releases that you haven't gotten to yet, but you really want to. I have a good couple for these. I have Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love this cover. I love the colors so much. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I never really talk about it, but it's one of my favorite books of all time. I also did enjoy Daisy Jones and the Six, but it was more like a 3.5 stars for me, but I am super intrigued by this one, so hopefully I can get to it soon. Then I have The Hunting Wives by Meg Cobb. I think that this one is going to be super fun, and I'm really excited for it. I also had The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner, and I have heard some mixed things about this, but this just gives me Aqua Tofana vibes, which is something that Bailey Sarian, if you guys watch her channel, that's something that's like a running joke on her channel because she covered the case over probably a year ago, if not more, and I feel like I'm really gonna like this, and I don't know why, but I'm really excited. I also have The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. I haven't read The Silent Patient yet, but I feel like this one is right up my alley, more so than the other one, but I think that this one is going to be amazing. It sounds super good to me, and I'm really excited for it. Another one that I have is Real by Kennedy Ryan, which is a romance. I have only read one Kennedy Ryan, and it was a short story, but I loved her writing from the get-go. It surprised me how much I loved a short novella. I loved it so much, so I definitely want to get to this one, and I've heard amazing things. I have so many more that I could talk about, but I think I'm just going to limit it to those because my brain is a little bit broken and I can't even remember all of them. So I think I'm just gonna say those for now. Question 4 is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and I actually am going to have an anticipated releases video for July, August, and September come out soon after this video. Soon-ish, okay? My top one as of now is definitely The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I'm so excited for this book. You don't understand. I think it's going to be fantastic, and I'm just so excited for it. I think it's like, I can't even describe it. Like, it sounds amazing, and I really trust Grady Hendrix. This one has not come out yet. It's technically in June, but that is also Survive the Night by Riley Sager. That one also sounds phenomenal. Like, the description of that, amazing. And I have read 2 of Riley Sager's books so far. I own his 2 others, so I definitely want to read all of his books. But I loved Home Before Dark. He kind of does this thing specifically in Lock Every Door and Home Before Dark. In his other books, I don't think he really does this as much, but in those 2 books, he kind of does like, is it paranormal, is it not paranormal type thing. And I normally like how it turns out, but even like any inkling of paranormalness in my thrillers, I don't really like unless it's gonna just lean in fully and be paranormal. I just don't really like that back and forth. And even like paranormal ghosts and stuff, I like that more in like horror than thrillers. But I think that he does it in an amazing way, and I really trust him. And this one's not paranormal at all, so I think that I'm gonna like this one even more. I think it's gonna be my favorite Riley Sager. I just have a feeling. So the next question is biggest disappointment, and for this I'm definitely going to go with The Guest List. I don't even know where the cover is, and I honestly don't care that much, but The Guest List. And this one disappointed me so much. This was so hyped last year, and I thought that I was gonna love it, and I just didn't. I just didn't care about any of the characters. I didn't care about the mystery. I think the setting was good. I really did enjoy the setting, but that was really the only thing I enjoyed. The end did have me shocked though. I did like the twist at the end, but like I didn't care about the characters, I didn't care about the mystery, and I just wanted to skim through it, which is what I did for like the last half. I just didn't care. I can see why people would like it, but again, I just didn't really care about the characters and the mystery, and it just fell flat for me. Question 6 is your biggest surprise, and actually I have 2 for this. The first one is The Echo Wife. We read this for Stacks of Strange, and before Stacks of Strange, I never heard about it. I think Kayla from Books and Lala read it before us, but we decided it was going to be a Stacks of Strange book before she even read it, I'm pretty sure. And I literally knew nothing about it, and I'm not like super big on sci-fi, but I loved this book. It has to do with like clones, and the main character is super unlikable, but I liked her because she was unlikable, and I really loved this book, and I don't know why. I really couldn't tell you exactly what it was, but I think it has to do with, I really like science mixed with other things. So like I really like sci-fi in a thriller, I really like sci-fi in a drama. I really like those kinds of things, and I would feel like this is more like a sci-fi drama. It's not really a thriller, but I just really, really liked it. The other one that I have is House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. I really was anticipating this. I was really hoping I was gonna love it, but I was still apprehensive because it's YA, but I did really, really like this. This went in a direction I did not expect at all, and I think that's also what surprised me is I didn't expect for it to go in a direction like this and still like it, but I really like where it went, and I loved the writing. I didn't think that I was like a lyrical writing person. I don't really think about writing styles unless they're inherently bad or I really don't like them, but like lyrical writing I haven't read too much of, so I was like, I probably won't like it, but I loved the lyrical writing. People thought it was over descriptive, but I love that part of it. I loved the writing, and I love how it was reinforced. I really, really enjoyed the characters, and it was just amazing. I really, really enjoyed House of Hollow. The next question is favorite new author, which is either debut or new to you. And again, I'm going to talk about Kennedy Ryan. I've only read a novella by her, but I really, really loved it. Like, for a novella, it blew my mind, and so I definitely want to read more of her work, but it was just amazing, and I can't count her as a new author yet, but I wanted to talk about her. And again, Karen Slaughter, I've only read one of her books this year as well, but I really, really liked it, and I definitely want to read more. And then getting into authors that I've read more than one book from, Tiffany D. Jackson, I've read 2 books from, and I was actually going to do a reading vlog where I read all of her books, but it was taking way too long. I started in January, and I only read 2 of the 4 books, so I was just like, I'll read all of her books after her newest book comes out in August or September, I can't remember. I'm going to do like a guide to Tiffany D. Jackson instead, but I really enjoyed the 2 books that I read by her. They were amazing, and they're not even her 2 most popular, so I'm really excited to read Grown and Monday's Not Coming, and yeah, I really have been liking her work. And then another one I just started, which is another answer that I had to change, but this is Penelope Douglas. I read my first Penelope Douglas and I'm in the middle of my second one right now, and for some reason I've just been in the mood for angsty new adult romance.
Oh my God, is this who we are? Is this what we represent?
I don't know why, but that's what I've been wanting, like very much giving me like Wattpad vibes. Penelope Douglas is hitting that spot. I have read Punk 57 and I'm in the middle of Bully right now. If you can't tell, I'm really in like the bully mood.
Stop it. Get some help.
But I really enjoyed Punk 57 and I'm enjoying Bully a lot so far. So I really am excited to read more of her work. Question 8 is newest fictional crush, and for this I think I'm going to go with Fitz from The Chase, which is another one of my favorite books of this year. I just didn't want to repeat too much, but Fitz, I adored him. He's so soft but closed off, and I just loved him, and I think that he's so precious, and he's like this hockey player, but he has so many like geeky little interests, and I just loved him. I think he was so precious. Another character for this is Vivi from House of Hollow. I have such a big crush on Vivi. I loved her. I wish she was in the book more. It was definitely more focused on the main character Iris and then her older sister Grace, and she disappeared and Vivi was kind of just along for the ride. But I just loved Vivi's vibe, and I think that she was a really amazing character, and I would definitely like to see more of her. I don't know if Crystal Sutherland is going to do anything else in the world, but if she does, I hope it definitely focuses on Vivi, because I have such a big crush on her. So the next question is newest favorite character, and I have so many I could go with for this, but newest favorite, so one that I've just read for the first time this year, like I can't do Pip or anything, but I'm gonna talk about The Chase again. I'm gonna go with Summer, the main character. I loved her, and she has ADHD, which I also have, and for a long time I didn't even know that I had ADHD, but when I did, it made everything so much clearer. I got diagnosed when I was 16. It affects her a lot more in school, and it doesn't affect me as much in school, but seeing it woven into her, like her personality and her daily life, really, it hit me. I don't know why. I've never seen ADHD represented like it wasn't here, and I know that it's going to resonate a lot for people who do struggle with ADHD related to school. I like hyper focus when I do school and stuff like that. I do get distracted, but I'm a lot better about it than a lot of other people with ADHD, but I just love the representation in that, and I loved how she was feminist. For some reason at first I didn't think that I was gonna like her. She very much gave me like popular girl vibes, very much like Legally Blonde vibes, which isn't bad, but like I didn't really specifically care about those characters, but she defied odds, and she's like that character but feminist, and she has so many different layers to her, and I just adored her so much. The next question is book that made you cry, and this is another answer I had to change. Originally I put Let Me Hear a Rhyme by Tiffany D. Jackson. In the original video that I filmed, I was like, no book this year has made me cry, but this one got me the closest, and it definitely did before I read Wolfsong. Wolfsong had me sobbing in bed at 3 a.m. It had me laughing then crying. So Wolfsong, as I said, it's super emotional, it deals with a lot of heavy topics, and so it definitely made me sob tears. The next question is a book that made you happy, and for that I'm going to go with Arsenic and Adobo. My copy's upstairs, but I have the dust jacket. This book made me so happy. Something about cozy mysteries. Again, it feels so cozy and comforting, and I know it deals with heavier topics like murder, but cozy mysteries somehow managed to take this heavy topic but still make you feel warm and fuzzy and cozy. Cozy mysteries do make me happy. This is the only one I've read so far this year, but I'm going to be reading a whole series for Nicole, one of my best friends on BookTube. She has a book club, and they love this author Julianne Lindsay, and she writes romantic suspense and cozy mysteries, and so we're going to be reading her series. I own a lot of the books. It's under Brie Baker. She has a couple different pen names, so I'm super excited to get to that. But cozy mysteries in general just make me so happy and fuzzy on the inside, and I don't know why, but I really love them. Question 12 is the most beautiful book you've received this year, and I originally had Horror Store by Grady Hendrix, which I'm still going to include. I'm just going to have 2 answers, but this is the one that I originally had, and I do really think Horror Store is beautiful, not in a traditional way, but I love like how the formatting has all of like these little things on the inside with the IKEA furniture, and I just think that that's just so clever and amazing. And like I just love how this book is formatted. It's kind of washing out, but I just love how it's formatted, and I love how on the front it's like the normal like IKEA store, but then on the back it's like that, but like with a horror and kind of all like, I don't know the word. It's just all grungy and dirty and horror, and there's like the hands, and I just really love it. But the most beautiful book cover wise that I just received, this is from Nicole again. I love Nicole. She got me this for graduating, and it's Love in the Wild by Emma Castle. And I just think that this book is so stunning. Like this man, like it's not even like, the man is obviously attractive, but like the way that they have like sweat on him, the lighting, like the way that the words are, and there's both him and a woman on the back, and I think that she's also beautiful, and I just think that this is an amazing cover. It's so beautiful, and I just really love this cover. Question 13 is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And I literally have so many. I want to read more Karen Slaughter, as I said. I want to read more Kennedy Ryan. I need to finish up my Tiffany D. Jackson books, catch up on Riley Sager. I want to read more Penelope Douglas. I do want to read a couple Colleen Hoovers this year. I can't even remember all of them, but I have an Amazon wishlist where I put a lot of the books that I'm excited for. Oh, I want to read T.L. Swan. I still really want to read Priest by Sierra Simone. I want to read Sophie Lark. She writes a lot of like mafia romances. I want to read Joanna Darling because I forget what the series is called, but the second one is Welcome to the Dark Side, and the first one is Lessons in Corruption. Ooh, I really want to read They Never Learn by Lane Fargo because I've heard amazing things, and I definitely am super interested in that. And I definitely want to read a little bit more horror later on this year, maybe some more Stephen King, things like that. I'm really excited for the rest of the year reading wise. Oh, and how can I forget, I want to read more Taylor Jenkins Reid this year. I was looking at my thing and I was like, oh yeah, Taylor Jenkins Reid, I want to read more of her work too. So those are all the questions for this tag. I'm sorry this video was a little long. I just really wanted to talk about the tea and some of my statistics, but that's all that I have for this video. Please let me know your answers to these questions down below. I would love to talk to you guys in the comments, but that's all that I have for this video today, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye everybody.
Trying to look like you winning. I'm writing rhymes in the kitchen, soaking in moments we live in, yeah. You got the nerve to be on me, faking your life for the IG. If you got my number, don't add me, cause baby,